Welcome to the first cook on the new 38 Komodo Kamado. Excited to do this with you. You know, I gotta say, I went back and forth a couple times, and I was like, you know, if someone got one, what would they want to do as their first cook? I was gonna go right to a pork butt, but then I decided today we're gonna do some baby back ribs. You know, it's a shorter cook, so if you're a little intimidated about it, this will give you enough to get a little bit of smoke into it and kind of learn how to use one. The one thing I'll tell you, and I talked a little bit about this in the unboxing, is that if you keep this guy, you know, under like 400 or so, you're not doing any grilling, you can use this without doing a burn-in, all right? We're gonna go right to a smoke. I was gonna do a burn-in video, but I wanna try it out. I want some ribs. So I'm skipping the burn-in video. I'm gonna do a couple smokes on it, and then I will give you a burn-in video. And really all that is, real quick, is there's a solvent underneath this, underneath the tiles in the grout. What you do is you slowly bring it up to 500 for a few hours, and you'll smell it curing a little bit. Once in a while, it'll kind of pop out a little bit in the grout, which is perfectly normal. And then after a few hours, when you don't smell it anymore, you're done. Then you can take this up to, you know, 700 degree searing if you want. So let's talk lump right out of the gate. First thing you need to know is that you want to use a high quality lump. There's a whole bunch of different ones out there. Do not use the briquettes. These are designed, all Kamados are designed to work with lump. Lump burns longer, it also gets hotter, and there's no chemical binders or anything like that. It's just wood. Actually, the way they make it is they get big 55-gallon drums or something similar, and they stack wood inside, and then they light a fire around it. And then it turns it black, and then you've got some charcoal to use. This here is the Komodo Kamado Cocoa Char. You will get a case with your new Kamado if you buy one, regardless of the size. But the one thing I want to tell you is that if you're buying a new Komodo Kamado and you want some of their lump, they've got some coffee wood, order that with your order because you'll save on shipping, right? So let's talk a little bit about the firebox. The one thing I talked about in the unboxing video is there is the basket splitter. And on my 32, I had it going the other way, and I thought I could flip this around and go the other way. I just actually tried before I started, and I can't. It's the way that the Komodo Kamado is shaped is the front is rounded and then the back is flat. So it's a fitted position in there. So the charcoal is always going to go in on the left side, and then you can change your basket size. But let me bring you in here and show you a little bit about the basket splitter before we fill it up with some lump. So here's our basket splitter, and the purpose of this is to force the air to go directly through the lump, right? Air comes in through the bottom here, and then it can't come up this way. It can only come into your lump. And what this does is air takes the path of least resistance. So in a Kamado that's got the big basket, it's very easy for the air to go around it. And sometimes when the lump falls or settles or burns, you can have some fluctuations in temperatures. This really helps it so that you can dial in a Komodo Kamado within a degree very easily, and you can have long, stable temperatures that hold. I mean, a Komodo Joe, I've got lots of experience with one. They hold temps very well. But I can tell you, the moment that I got my 32, I knew right away that it locked in way easier and way longer with minimal adjustments. And this is part of the secret. But basket splitter wise, you've got this adjustable piece in here, right? We've got these pieces that go. And what you want to do is there's some bolts here. So put it in your slots and then tighten these up, make sure you're good. This is tightened up. You can see the screw here to the basket. And you know, this is what we call 3/4 of a basket. You can also, if you want, you can undo this screw and lift this right out to get a full basket if you're using the rotisserie or the duck rack or something, and you want to have like 4 chickens hanging and you want this whole basket filled. Absolutely, you can do that. Just remove that. For the most part, you're going to find, here we go. You're rarely going to need more than half a basket. For any type of smoke. Lots of smokes I run with 1/4 basket, brisket, half basket. If I'm going to do some steaks in a reverse sear, I usually always buy really, really thick steaks. So I'll put them on until they get the temperature. And what I'll do is I will use a half basket then, because it's going to take a little time to get the searing temperatures, and I want lots of lump there to get a nice hot sear for a little while, and I want to give my steak some time to rest there. So that's another time I'll use a half basket. But you can see we've got one plate that doesn't have any slots in it, and then we've got a plate that's got some slots in it. The slots go here, so the slots kind of nicely fit in there. And this is fully adjustable, right? So I could have a plate here, and I could have a plate laying over top. So if I want, you know, not quite a half basket, but I want to adjust a little bit, you totally can. And then if you want to go all the way, we go in there, and then there we're at a quarter basket. Super easy to use. Today I am going to go a little bit larger, because one thing you'll see with the cocoa char, the cocoa char, is that these pieces are pretty big, right? So I want to be able to have room that they can stay there. So pull this over a little bit, right? And then we can put one there as kind of a blocker. All right, so now we've got a base there. Next thing I'm going to do is we're going to use some Bear Mountain hickory chunks here. Love hickory on pork. These are big pieces, right? So I'm going to kind of put my piece in the middle here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some lump around it. And you can just dump this in. You don't have to be as anal as I'm being right now. I just want to give you a clear picture of what's going on here. So I'm going to put another one right here first. Well, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make it so that my wood is mostly blocked by lump. And what's going to happen there is we're going to light this and let it burn. And then as it burns down, that wood's going to start to smolder, and that smoke's going to go through your lump, and it's going to kind of burn twice. It's just going to make it for a clean smoke. Now, I will tell you right at the gate, I'm going to put another piece up here after we get it started, because I want a little bit of smoke in the beginning, but we're going to get it started first. So before we can start this up, I want to talk to you about one thing real quick. There are a couple ways to start up your Komodo Kamado, or any Kamado for that matter. I have used wax cubes. I've used one of these guys. What you do here is you put a tumbleweed in there, and then you lock this up, you light it. You put it in the bottom of your lump, you light it, and then you put some lump on top of it. Tumbleweed burns for 10 minutes and you get your lump going. I have tried the wireless loaf lighter, and then today we're on the grill gun. I should have went to a grill gun right away. Let me get that out of the way. I resisted it because I didn't want to deal with propane. They have a hose where you can attach a 20-pound tank to it. And there is apparently some refillable ones of these out there. I have not dealt with that yet. But I waited 2 years to get one of these things, and I really wish I had bought one sooner. I use this for my Komodo Kamado, my offset, my wood-fired oven, my fire pit. You will find uses for this, and it will save you a tremendous amount of time, right? So highly recommend one of these. The one thing about the cocoa char is it is very, very dense. It burns hot, and it burns a very long time, which is awesome. But it does take a little bit to get going. So the grill gun really, really helps with that process. And I have a 10% discount code. I'll put that link down below. The code below is Rum and Cook. And just don't do what I did. Save yourself some hassle. Get one of these, because even if you just want to get, you want to grill some burgers in the middle of the week, this will allow you to start grilling within 10 minutes or so. Whereas the other way is going to take 10 minutes just to kind of start to get up the temperature, and then you've got to go the next 200 degrees before you can actually grill. So, super simple here. There is a stand, so you can stand it, right? One thing I will tell you is if this falls over, it will leak propane, so never leave the tank attached. I made that mistake when I first got it. Let me bring you in, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna give this guy its first light. We'll christen it. Now I'll put one of these guys right here. So now that we're started up here, I want to show you what we're doing down here, right? So this is closed. This slides out, no problem. You've got a big hole here, and you've got these guys. more air in and a larger vent opening up top equals hotter, all right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to open up both of these until we start to get the temperature, right? This is gonna allow some airflow through. Now you don't wanna overshoot your temperature. If you catch it in the beginning, it's fine, but after a while, this gets heat soaked and then it's really hard to get your temperature to come down. So we're gonna leave that like that. We're gonna let this go. I've put my top grates in here and the drip pan that it comes with. We've got it kind of off to the side here, so our lump is open here. You can see we already got some smoke, so what we're gonna do here is we're going to close this. Now remember, there are two latches. This is storage mode, that is smoke mode. And then what we'll do, see where we're at, we're closed. 1, 2, 3, 4. More air up top, more air in the bottom, larger air up top, creates a vacuum, we get air going through it, and you get it hotter. Now the one thing I'll tell you, if you're new to Kamado cooking, is the easiest thing you can do is pick an adjustment for your bottom vent and then do everything else for your top. Now you're gonna be able to go from like 200 to probably 350, 400 with just the top vent setting. Use the big hole, and then once you need to get up hotter than that, then you can start to open up more air in the bottom. But if you just focus on leaving the bottom alone and making adjustments from the top, it'll make it way easier, right? So and what we're gonna do here is we're gonna let this come up to temperature. You know, it's just starting to move the needle here as we get up to our target temperature, which today is gonna be 275 on the thermometer. We're gonna start to back this up, right? Now I'm opening up a fair amount. I expect, I haven't used the 38 yet, but I expect with a larger hole on the bottom, I'm gonna be somewhere around maybe a half a turn open somewhere on the top. Doesn't take a lot at those lower temperatures, but we'll see once we get up there. So we're gonna let this guy get up to temperature, and then I'm gonna start to back this down and I'll lock it in, and then I'll show you what the settings are so you have an idea of where to start. So while we're letting our Komodo Kamado come up to temperature, just wanna talk to you a little bit about smoke. So you can see right now that this is what we call a billowing smoke, right? There's tons of smoke, and this is bitter and acrid. This is not what you want to be smoking in. Lots of people, when they first start smoking, they believe that you have to see smoke to get smoke flavor. That's not always the case. Lots of time you'll still be able to smell it, but it'll turn from this until it's got like a blue tint to it. It's blue smoke. That's what we call clean smoke. You want to be able to run in clean smoke for the majority of your cook. Now, the one thing I learned on my offset is you can absolutely run too clean of a fire and you really don't get a great result there. So a little bit of dirty smoke in the beginning is not gonna hurt anything. And look, if you've gotta add lump for whatever reason, or sorry, if you wanna add smoking wood in the middle of the cook because it's a longer cook and you're not smelling anything, you can absolutely do that. You're gonna get a little bit of dirty smoke for the first like 10 minutes. It's not gonna hurt anything, right? There's a lot of people out there driving home this clean smoke, and they've kind of taken it a little too far, I think. So, you know, what it did when I first started cooking on my offset is it got me scared of dirty smoke. There are countless videos out there now that are talking about how dirty smoke in the beginning and then clean smoke for the last half is absolutely fine and actually gives you better results. You'll have to experiment and play with it yourself. That's personal preference. But you want to be able to see just a little bit of smoke, and you want to be able to smell some smoke. This will clean up here in a couple of minutes. We're just starting to move up. We're about 175 degrees now. So I'm gonna let this come up, and then we'll start to dial in our temps. All right, so it's been 10, 12 minutes or so here. We just hit 275. So what I just did is I just closed the left side vent. So now we have just the big hole on the one that's got all the small holes in it. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start to shut down our vents. So I'm gonna go all the way closed just so I have an idea of where I'm supposed to be at, or where I'm at, and then I'm gonna go with about my one turn there, right? Now I'm gonna watch my dial. The big thing that people make is they make a change, they wait 2 minutes, they make another change, and they only wait 2 minutes. You really gotta wait like 5, 10 minutes to know that you're really locked in. You'll see the gauge move, like just closing it up, the gauge dropped down on me. Right now, the gauge has dropped down a little bit more. So we're gonna see where it goes, but I'm gonna leave it at that point in time. I think originally I said it was maybe about a half turn. I don't know. Haven't used a 38. We'll see what it is. Could be a full turn, could be even a little bit more. We'll see what it's gonna do here, but we'll let that kind of get dialed in for a little bit. Today we're gonna make a basic rub. First off, it's officially 12:30, past noon. Mom says I can have a drink. So cheers on that. But we're gonna make up a little bit of a basic rub here. I've got in here a quarter cup of dark brown sugar, which we're gonna break up a little bit. First, I'm gonna put some pepper in here. Okay, so this is my pepper can. I got just a tiny bit left in there. The one thing I'll tell you is that sugar is optional. I know a lot of people are dialing back their sugar, so that doesn't have to be in it. But I will tell you that sugar and pork goes together very well. All right, so we're about half one of these, right? So I'm gonna use, this filled is about 3 tablespoons. So we're about 1.5 tablespoons of this. I'm gonna give it just a little bit more. All right, and we're gonna dump that in there. We're gonna go a little bit salt forward, and I'm gonna go to maybe 2 tablespoons, so only half tablespoon more. I've got some onion powder here. So this is two teaspoons, okay? So 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. Wind's kicking up. Onion powder. Now we're gonna go down to 1 teaspoon. I got some cinnamon here. Probably should have tried to make this an inside. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. This is thyme. 1 teaspoon of thyme. Then I've got, these are both smoked paprika. Now, if you want to heat, you could use some chili powder. I thought I had some, I don't have some, so we're gonna leave it alone. I'm kind of a wimp, so I don't do a lot of heat anyhow. But what we're gonna do here is, we're gonna go empty out that one. And this will be 3, I'm gonna look at the color when I'm done here. But this will be 3 tablespoons of smoked paprika. And what we'll do is we'll take our fork here, we'll mix this all up, break down that brown sugar in there. Mine is extra clumpy for some reason today. Luckily with some heat, it will melt into some ribs, but it's not going to distribute evenly. Got my officially licensed barbecue thing here, and then I've got a funnel here that I just cut the end off of, make it easier for pouring spice. Oh boy. That's what, let's use a spoon here, or fork. Now the one thing that's going to happen here, if you use some more smoked paprika, or you added some chili, it's going to get even redder, right? There, that helped break up the rest of that sugar there. A couple clumps, but we're good. Let's see what we're doing vent-wise. So we've come down, right? So we're gonna go half a turn and see what happens there. In the meantime, I'm gonna take all this stuff inside and we will go get the star of the show. All right, so while we're waiting to get our vent dialed in, the one thing I remembered is that I actually had a leaking gasket on my 32 that I had to repair before it went, and it really threw off my vent settings. So we're at 2 turns. I'm gonna go up to 2.5 and just bring that up. We're sitting around 250. But while we're waiting for that to come in, get locked in here, we're gonna put some of our rub here. I'm gonna glove up one hand. And these are just baby back ribs, are actually from Creekstone Farms. They've already been peeled. I did a video on the membrane recently. I'll link that up here and maybe at the end of the video. But these ones don't have a membrane on them. It's already been taken off. There's a lot of debate on that. I've got a couple of videos coming out where, oh boy, this wind is gonna be fun. You know, lots of people think that smoke penetration is affected by the membrane, and seasoning doesn't get in and everything. So I've done some videos lately where I've kind of disproved that a little bit in theory. But we'll get some of this on here. We still got some clumpy brown sugar, but it'll melt in. And you could use a binder on these if you wanted to. I stopped using binders quite some time ago. And these guys are super wet, super moist, so you don't really need to have a binder on these today. And this is a little salt forward. There's also celery salt in there, right? So celery salt with the more salt, or with the kosher salt that I put in there, made this a little bit more of a salty rub. So what'll happen here is this will pull out some of the moisture. And you're gonna see these guys sweat in nicely. Sorry, starting to change color at the end. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw these back in the fridge and just let them sweat in for a little bit. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our top rack. The one thing I want to show you, video-wise, it's very hard to get an idea how big the 32 is, right? So we're going to do these on the top rack. You're going to be able to see a couple racks of ribs and just how much we can fit on the top rack alone, which is the smallest. All right, so I'm going to put this guy in there. Perfect. All right. Get that preheated a little bit. We'll get this dialed in and then we'll get ready to put our ribs on. So as you can see, our rub here is nicely soaked in. You can see the change in color and it's a little bit wet on top. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put these guys on. I'm going to put these right in the center. I'm going to push them over here so we're not even remotely close to where our lump is. We could go over, what I would probably do is I would probably shift these this way. I'd get one rack here, 1, 2, 4 racks here, so 5 racks right here, and then 1, 2, probably 3. So I could probably get between 7 and 8 racks on that top shelf to give you an idea. So now what we're going to do is we're going to let these guys go at 275 for probably 3 to 4 hours, I would think. I'm going to bring it back in about an hour when we do spray. All right, so it's been an hour and 10 minutes. Let me bring you up to speed. First, I want to show you the vents. We got them locked in. We are dialed in at exactly 275. And my bottom vent, I went down to 1/8 of a turn, open on the larger one on the left side. That's all that's open. And our top vent here, we are just closed. There's open. So we're about a 1/4 turn open. Now, one thing to understand about Kamado style grills, it's all about airflow, right? So lots of people have a little bit of airflow down below and more open up top. If you go a little bit more below and a little less up top, you can actually make your food smokier, right? And that's what we're going for here. Now that it's all dialed in, you know, I could go in a little bit on that and then I could open this up a little bit up top to get the same type of temperature if I wanted it less smoky. But right now is exactly where I want it. It's looking pretty good. Let's have a look at our ribs because they are looking tasty already. So as you can see, they're dried up nicely. So our rub is all nice and tacked in. What we're gonna do here, this is 50-50 apple cider vinegar and water. We're gonna give ourselves a little bit of a spray. I'm gonna adjust my mist here, I think. There we go. Get them nice and wet there. And we're gonna close this back up and we're gonna let that go. These are gonna take a couple more hours at least. One of the benefits of a Kamado style grill is we've got all of this, in this case, it's a couple inches thick of refractory cement and another layer in there, but what it does is it fires heat energy back in 360 degrees, so you get a little bit of a faster cook compared to some other methods. Plus we're up in the dome, so we're gonna be close to the top here. So 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours if I had to guess. What we're gonna do is we're gonna keep spraying, but every 45 minutes at this point. All right, so we are sitting just over the 3 hour mark. It's been 3 hours and 10 minutes. Let me bring you in, we'll have a look and see what's going on here. Give these guys a quick spray. Now we're running pretty hot. So let's see where we're at temperature wise. Let's not get the bone. 76. 174. We're pretty darn close to each other. So we're looking pretty good. We're gonna go for probably another 30 minutes to an hour. Probably closer 45-ish or so. All right, see you in a little bit. All right, so we're actually about 4.5 hours, and I gotta tell you, about 45 minutes ago, I was like, man, these things are taking forever. And then I remembered they're baby backs, not St. Louis. So let's have a look and see what we're looking at here. Bring these guys out. And the lighting is not the best right now. They look darker than they are on camera. If I go get my white lights, we'll be pretty good. This guy could probably go just a little bit more, but as I mentioned earlier, I promised my wife some wife time tonight. So I gotta pull these off. You can see that we're breaking right here. That comes across on camera, but I mean, they look pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna let these rest for a good 50 minutes. Gotta tell you, I was really tempted to put some sauce on them. This is probably one of very few times where I didn't put sauce on them, but we put together that rub, so I'm gonna let the rub do all the talking and the smoke do the talking. Let these guys cool down, and then I'll bring you out and we'll see what they taste like. All right, let's give these guys a try. Cut these guys right. Nice looking rib, good smoke ring on either side. Just cutting this other one. Up. Shot that guy. Looking pretty good. You can see the moisture bubbling up around the outside. White meat's always difficult to show the moisture unless it's like crazy. But you can see it, it's all bubbling up there. That looks nicely. I think it really matters. Still warm. The rub's good. I went back and forth. I really wanted to put some sauce on it. It's pretty rare for me to make some ribs without sauce on them, but that's a good rib. What do you guys think? You want some? Let me go over here and give you a bigger piece. When the dogs smell pork, they come running. All right, we got one on each side. Here you go, Cookie. What do you think? Was it good? What do you think, Ollie? Is it good? Did you taste it? I don't think so. That's it. And there you have it, folks. We've officially done our first cook on the Komodo Kamado. These were really good. Love the flavor of them. They were a little darker than I would like. Part of that is that rub was actually brown by the time I was done with it. I would have liked to add some more smoked paprika to it and some chili pepper to it. But unfortunately, I needed the smoked paprika that I had left for something tomorrow, so I couldn't use it all. A little bit limited there, but you know, color aside, the flavor is really, really good. Moisture's there. Good smoke flavor. You can taste some of that hickory wood coming through there. I love hickory on pork. And you know, I'd call the first cook a success. Took us a little while to get the 38 dialed in. It's a new smoker, so we're trying to figure it out, but I can tell you, we ended up being 1/8 of a turn in the bottom and a quarter turn up top, a little over quarter turn up top, and that got us locked into that 275 and locked in all day. It took me a little while to get it dialed in, but once you learn your vent settings, you can just duplicate it. As long as you're using the same lump. It will vary on the kind of lump, but if you always buy the same lump, then it's going to be very, very close every single time. So it just takes you a little bit of time to learn those. Every cooker is a little different, and today I'm happy to say we knocked these out. Pretty happy with them. Let me know down below in the comments, what do you want to see next? You want to see some brisket? You want to see some pork butt? What do you want to see? We got to put this guy through the paces, and I want you guys to come along on the journey with me and let me know what you want me to cook. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And if pork's your thing, here's another video right here. Thanks. I'll see you soon.